Hey, Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi fans, it's Randip Janda here on YouTube and the Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi show. And I'm very pleased to be joined by somebody who is really immersed in hockey since a while back now. And I'm very proud to be joined by Michael Nijjar, who is a minority owner with the Vegas Golden Knights, head of acquisition with Golden Management. And of course, there's some other ownership stakes across the planet we'll get into as well. But Michael, welcome to Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi.
Thanks for having me.
Well, a lot of the conversations that I start off with, we're going to get into the Stanley Cup Final. We're going to get into the exciting hockey that's going on right now, the success that your team has had. But, a lot of times when I have conversations, I love to find out how your love of hockey began. How did you fall in love with the game?
Yeah. So it started from childhood. So my father from Punjab came to the United States when he was about 18, 19 years old. And he actually has a field hockey background. So as a child, I grew up going to the Great Western Forum, watching the Los Angeles Kings, and kind of fell in love with hockey as a child because my father obviously didn't have the field hockey options and he basically had season tickets and currently has season tickets for the last 45 years with the Los Angeles Kings. So I grew up, having RC Cola at the Great Western Forum, watching the Purple and Gold Kings, and fell in love with the game with my brothers. And that kind of pivoted us into playing hockey. And then growing up in California, most of it was roller hockey as we didn't have as many rinks as they do now with when Wayne Gretzky came in the late 80s and they started building a lot more ice hockey rinks. So I predominantly started playing a lot of roller hockey, competing all over North America, and fell in love with the game. To this day, still active and playing, and even my older brother, we're still playing a little competitively in some beer leagues out here in Los Angeles.
Well, that's awesome because you went from like everybody a fan, and then you started playing the game, and now eventually, a part owner of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Henderson Silver Knights as well. Let's go back to the playing aspect a little bit because your background, you mentioned your dad's from Punjab. You're also half Colombian. And unlike me, who huge hockey fan, but I haven't represented any country at the international level, you've represented Colombia at the Amerigold Cup, which a few times. How did that opportunity come about for you, and how much does playing the game mean to you to this day?
Yeah, so it kind of came out of nowhere. So we used to play in these national tournaments in roller hockey, and I believe the tournament was in Florida. We were playing in a Estero Arena, and there was a team from Colombia that actually came, and we actually played against them. And my mom, obviously being from Colombia, started helping out the kids. I mean, they didn't even have the right uniforms and the right equipment. So my mom even went to the pro shop, helped them. Well, it created kind of a bond between my mother and the Colombian hockey team. And what happened is, with a friend of mine, we started doing roller hockey camps in Bogota. So we flew down to Colombia, started doing helping them train and just doing camps. Basically, we traveled to Cali, Colombia, Bogota, as well as Brazil, and yeah, it was a great opportunity. So what happened was Mexico had, I think, with actually the Federation of Canada, helped build a rink in Mexico City, and we did the very first Pan American Games. And so they gave me a call, knowing that I'm a dual citizen, and I got the opportunity to skate with Colombia. And I think we've actually won 5 championships. We're AAHF official, and we just actually had a tournament in Bratislava, Slovakia, for the AAHF Development Cup.
Okay, that's amazing. And yeah, you get to live out the dream on 2 fronts. But going back to the ownership aspect, it's a very exclusive club in whatever sport, but especially in the NHL, there's only 32 teams. How did this opportunity come about for you and your family?
Perfect. So our family background is in real estate and other investments. So if you actually come into our office, we have, pictures of us playing hockey and all of our championship trophies from the roller hockey. So we still sponsor a professional roller hockey team, which is actually called Pama Golden Knights. Mm-hmm. So we had a banking connection that she used to come into our office. And at this time, Vegas and hockey didn't even exist, but they were raising money. And so she came into my office and she sees all of our trophies, all of our hockey pictures. And she asked us, she's like, hey, would you guys be interested in the NHL? And we're like, yes, of course. We love hockey. And they're like, would you be interested in Vegas? And we're like, yes, of course. Perfect. It's not too far from Los Angeles. And so that kind of started the conversation. So we flew out to meet Bill Foley, the majority owner, and we had a great meeting in Las Vegas. Sounded like a great partnership, and we knew that there was a lot of opportunity in growing, hockey in Las Vegas, and we loved the opportunity. I mean, I grew up also playing roller hockey tournaments in Las Vegas from like 1999 all the way up to like the mid 2000s. So I saw, hockey kind of grow a little bit. And then what we've done in Las Vegas has been pretty amazing as more kids are playing hockey, and you just see it just on the volume of people playing.
Well, you've seen it, yeah, as you mentioned, before the NHL got there. So the way that Vegas has come around and the way that Vegas has turned into a hockey market, you go to those games, it's unlike anything else in the NHL. Was that a surprise to you, or the research you'd done in the past with roller hockey that you knew it was going to be like this?
Yeah, so we hired a consultant. So just to go back a little bit,
Mhm.
like we didn't know if we were getting an expansion team or if they were relocating a team. So it was just kind of up in the air. I think the NHL wanted to push a ticket drive, and that's what kind of started everything when the ticket drive did so well. And then as expansion started talking, then we knew that there could be a real serious opportunity here. And yeah, and then everything what really I found that really changed was the locals. Like if you come to a game at T-Mobile Arena, they have like a pump up the crowd, and it's kind of like if you're a woman, scream, if you're a man, scream. But they have one for tourists, and then they have one for locals. And when you hear the locals, it's like 90% of the stadium.
It's
So
amazing.
we always thought it would be all tourists, because Vegas is not a big hockey market, but it actually was the exact opposite. It really became a local community event for Las Vegas, and also with the shootings that happened in the first year. The hockey players became symbols of the city, and that really helped. Going to the hospitals, helping out the first responders, and it really created a bond with the locals in Las Vegas.
Well, one of the things I've heard, talking to some of the players, whether they played in Vegas now or in the first couple of years of the franchise, is that the way that the community, living in Henderson or practicing out there, it feels very different from a lot of other NHL markets. You feel it's a different type of home. But on top of that, the facilities that you guys have been able to create in Vegas is kind of raised the standard in the NHL. When you were mapping this out with Bill Foley, when the ownership group got together and said, all right, we're going to do this, how big of a focus was it to create that sort of environment for players that not only do they love it, but even when they leave Vegas, it's still on top of their mind?
Yeah, I mean, Bill, I give all credit to Bill and George McPhee for building a first class organization. Where players want to join. We have top of the line facility in Summerlin. We've also built for the Henderson Silver Knights in Henderson. So I think there's a lot of good things going for Vegas, which has attracted a lot of the high end talent, whether it's through free agency or through trades. But yeah, no, I think it all comes from the top with Bill, and he's done an amazing job and always pushed the limit, to win.
So you mentioned the real estate business, of course, that's your main business, but the Vegas Golden Knights, the Henderson Silver Knights, Bournemouth FC in the EPL. You've also a minority owner in that with Bill Foley. That acquisition happened last year, if I'm not mistaken. You're also involved in a Ligue 1 French club. What's the biggest surprise for you as a sports owner? Like, was there something that, a sports franchise owner or sports club owner, something that maybe happened or is a part of the experience that was a positive or a negative, where you're just saying, wow, I didn't expect that?
I mean, I would say just from the hockey, how much it's boomed in Vegas, and it's done so well, and it's without like we could never have done it without the community. I remember going through the strip, and you just drive down the strip, even if you go, this week, every hotel has our symbol, on the lights. It's like, come in here, come watch the game, come grab a drink. We're supporting the Vegas Golden Knights. The Statue of Liberty has the jersey on. I remember they had a chocolate fountain of Marc-Andre Fleury the first year. So it's pretty amazing that's all done from outside of the organization. So we're not putting up those billboards. Those are the hotels, those are the bars, and that's probably the biggest thing I've seen just from the city of Vegas. I mean, with the soccer investments, it's awesome to do it with the same group, the Vegas Golden Knights investors, and that we just qualified for next season in the APL, so we stayed safe from being relegated. So there's a lot of good things going on there where I think we can continue to grow, invest more in other teams, and I think that's the goal, is to create some other farm system teams or feeder clubs to help with the EPL team.
Well, working with Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, seeing the involvement with the community across Canada, and obviously in the United States as well, it's great to see somebody from the community being a part of the ownership group, because it's progress for our community as well. Where in the past I've talked about this, where it's excellent to be participants, playing the game, but when you're in a position to be a minority owner, that's really when you have decision-making power. And being somebody of not only Punjabi background, but Colombian background, how important was that for you to be involved in the ownership, but also from a representation aspect, where you're one of the few, South Asian owners in sports, but that number is slowly growing.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to be that, and to be on the front line. As obviously, I think they're going to be a lot more South Asian owners in the future, and you're seeing it in the NBA, you're seeing it in some other sports, and no, I look forward to investing more. And I love sports. I grew up with it as a child, and it's kind of a passion of our family, and would love to continue to invest in the Golden Knights as well.
And you talked about taking the game to places and holding camps, Colombia and other countries in South America like Brazil. How much of that is a focus for you on a personal level, right? To help grow the game of hockey, whether it's in the Vegas area, but even beyond that, to make it more of an international game.
Yeah, so we actually have a kind of like a foundation called Palma Golden Knights Academy, which is run by my brother, and they've traveled, to Africa, providing equipment. This is on the roller hockey front. They've done Brazil, and it's kind of helping those kids that, maybe never had a chance to, grab a stick to go out there. They've done a lot of work in Namibia and Africa, which has been amazing. And we actually saw those kids compete in a national tournament, which was pretty remarkable. So he's continuously trying to help grow the sport, in markets that aren't predominantly hockey.
That's awesome. It's great to see the game grow every year, whether it's here in North America and in certain markets that maybe aren't traditional hockey markets, but also internationally. All right, before we let you go here, Michael, I have to ask you about the Cup Final. We haven't talked about the Cup Final. It's the biggest story. We're excited on Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, to be covering it as well. But your journey, guys were a juggernaut during the regular season, but as a observer from a distance, you could see the team was really good, but they didn't really have to step on the gas. They didn't have to go full throttle this season. It was just felt like a really professional team, where knew when they had to, really put in the maximum effort, but they were good enough to win at certain games, playing a little bit more defensive or going all out offensively. From a distance, what kind of, experience has it been to watch Bruce Cassidy in the way that he's really, I think, not necessarily changed the DNA of this team, but it definitely has a different personality than previous years?
Yeah, no, it's really comes with the leadership. I mean, adding an elite player like Eichel has been amazing. Because we came from the expansion draft, it's really hard to get, like a top 15 player. Just usually you have to draft those types of players. So that's actually helped the DNA of this team. But just from looking in the past years, I feel like every year the team has gotten better. Even with the team last year that didn't make the playoffs, like it was still a really strong team. And I know we had the injury bug, but I felt like that team was better than the year before, and then the team before was even better as they've kind of gotten stronger and stronger. And I think the success of this year's team has just been, the depth on the defense, helping out goalies that you haven't been played that much in the league. And I mean, having that 1 through 6D has been incredible, and I think it's been the heart of the team this season.
All right. So what are your plans during the Cup final? Are you going to be traveling with the team? Or are you going to be in Vegas? Or I know you're California based as well. So what's the plan for the Nijjar family during the Cup final?
Yeah, we'll be at every game. So we're heading to Vegas this weekend, and then we fly out with. There's another couple of minority members and staff that will be out in Florida, staying in Fort Lauderdale and watching the games out there. The funny thing is, on my Colombian side, we have tons of family that lives in Florida. Even I have a cousin that lives 2 blocks from the stadium, so it'll be interesting to see them there. Obviously, they'll be rooting for the Golden Knights, but they do have some blood for the Florida Panthers, as they're actually Florida Panthers fans as well.
I love that you've converted them over to the Vegas Golden Knights side. That's awesome. Well, Michael, first of all, congratulations on the success of the team, not only this year, but first 6 years in the league. And you've really, I think, helped to raise the standard of play really in the Pacific Division. Being based here in Vancouver, I know there's a lot of people that look back and say, wow, you got to deal with this team for the next 5 years. So, the standard of play, but also from a business perspective as well. And it's awesome to see Punjabis thrive in the NHL. You're representing the community well. And thanks very much for joining us today.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.